Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Hollis Planning Board meeting, Wednesday, March 12th, 2025. We'll start this evening with a call to order and then a roll call starting from my right to left.
Tom Wachowski.
Heather Sullivan.
Greg McPherson.
Danielle Bradbury.
Butch Gannett.
Perfect. Thank you. And also joining us tonight, we have our Secretary Heidi Brenier and Jamal and
Jamel and Malia.
Malia from SMPDC. Apologize.
Thanks
I knew
for coming.
I was gonna not pronounce it correctly. I appreciate that. So start off, we have a couple of correspondence from the select board. We have schedule of fees that they are looking to put into place. Are these going in on the June warrant, or are these just?
And I don't think they have to go on the warrant.
Okay. Yep, so they're updating the annual fees. These will be on the town website for anybody interested in looking at the new fee schedule. Any other, so do you have any reports? Anybody on Zoom, co-enforcement, select board? Hearing none. New business, we have none. So we'll move right to old business tonight, which is, we've been working on the use table definitions and performance standards changes that we're hoping to get on the June warrant to enact these changes. So last meeting, we spent a lot of time going over definitions in the use table. Heather cleaned up the use table from our last conversation, and that's at the very end of your packet that Heidi put together for us. I think it might make sense to start right there. Look at that, and then go right into performance standards. Oh. That's not in the agenda.
Okay.
So, Heather has been so kind enough to, we had a bunch of deletions out of the use table. Heather cleaned this up for us and took those right out, so it's a little easier to read. And then I believe you highlighted these yellow with potential discussion points.
Yep, the yellows were ones that I thought that we needed to
Do you kind of
focus on. But there may be others that we want to focus on. Those were just the ones that that I noticed for some reason or another.
Okay.
And I've got I've got reasons in place.
All right. So do you want to kind of walk us through those?
Sure. So one of the things that I think that we maybe have not done such a great job of doing is aligning the comprehensive plan with the use table. So I went through, it was one of the things that I sent out to you guys last week. I went through and pulled, I hope I sent it to you guys. Oh yeah, it was the description of the different zones, and then the space and bulk, and what it said in the comp plan about that zone, and what it says in the zoning ordinances about that zone. And I also pulled the state guideline, state law on zoning and ordinances, because I wanted to make sure that everyone understood that zoning ordinances, if they do not align with the comprehensive plan, they can be deemed by a court as unrelated and then not applicable. So that's why I felt it was important for us to review the use table against the current comp plan, knowing that the comp plan is going to be changing at some point. Some of the things that I found, just as like a basic overview, was the Hollis Center Village. So, rural residential 2 acre is identified in the comp plan as a residential growth area. We had talked about when we were putting together the affordable housing. We did not put affordable housing into RR2. But as a growth area, if you look at the affordable housing language from the state law, which I don't think I pulled, the expectation is that you put it in a growth area. So we've got a little bit of a, we may consider expanding that. I don't think
We could be more restrictive. We can't be less restrictive, correct?
That's right.
And from the comments that I've heard from residents is that the way we have it now, they would not want to see that in RR2.
Even if that ultimately makes it unenforceable completely.
We can be more restrictive. We can't be less restrictive.
Then
than this.
couldn't we just have none?
That one would be less. That one would be wouldn't be following the law.
I thought we had to put it in growth areas.
We have to offer it, I believe. Maybe Jamal or Melina, do you have any comment on where ADUs need to be allowed?
Not ADU,
I'm sorry.
affordable housing developments.
Yeah.
That would be any, yeah, sure. No, go for it.
Why wouldn't we
Still getting
want
used to our
that?
flow.
Why wouldn't we want that in in a growth area?
It has to be in a growth area,
Has to be all growth areas, or
No, it could be growth areas plus more.
plus more, but at least the growth area, per state statute.
But it doesn't have to be in everything considered a growth area. As long as we have it in a growth area.
Everywhere there's a growth area, you should be allowing the affordable housing density bonus.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so definitely run it to legal. And see
Well,
what they
they-
say.
It came from legal.
Did it came,
But legal didn't have a copy of our comprehensive.
so you're
well,
saying,
he did look it up. That's how he referred to those two areas of growth.
So is it not a growth area? Because it says it in the comp plan, and from what I understand, whatever it says in the comp plan is what we should be trying to zone towards.
Right.
I took our direction off of the town attorneys
I mean, we can update it
in the
next
future.
time. Yeah,
Yep.
we can reconsider it and update it in the future.
I'm gonna assume that our town attorney has done his due diligence.
Yep,
And I feel comfortable moving forward the way it is.
okay.
And if the comprehensive committee, in the meantime, doesn't feel they want R2 to be a growth zone, then that's something, because they are working on that currently.
Yep.
But per guidance from our legal,
Mhm.
I'm good the way it is.
I just wanted to make sure that we were all aware.
Yep. Is everybody on the same page with that?
I'm okay with it.
Butch? You good at moving with our attorneys, how he wrote the affordable housing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
All right, next up. In Hollis Center Village, the use table in the zoning ordinance, if you look at minimum lot size for 40K, and then the next one is minimum lot size 80K, but the comp plan says that Hollis Center Village Zone is supposed to be a 1 acre lot. So I don't know where this 2 acre lot came from. And also our SMPDC, they did provide us with comments that said, they didn't say it like this, but do you really need two different lot sizes? And then if you look at the use table, I don't think there's a significant difference in the 80 and the 40.
I like how it's changed to 1 acre, 2 acre instead of 80/40.
I was gonna ask you guys if you guys like,
Yeah.
if that was okay.
Big fan of that.
So, I think the discussion is, so if you look through the use table, there are some uses that I think are, all right, so 1 acre zone is what the comp plan says that the acreage is supposed to be. When I look at the 1 acre zone, there's some things missing that I think should be in there. Like, there's houses that currently exist in Hollis Center Village that are 1 acre houses, minus. So it's gotta be permitted because it sits there. So I don't understand why we don't have, single family, multifamily, whatever they are. Because all those things do exist in Hollis Center Village.
Was it from back when it was long enough ago where it didn't fall under those same rules? I don't want to say a non-conforming structure type deal, but something.
Sure.
That's what I
Could be.
mean. Is it something that, and then at some point, a board wanted it changed, so they put it in front of the voters, and the voters approved it. And that's, I assume, again, I don't have the history, like some of us, the history guy. The 1 acre zones that exist in Hollis Center Village now, were those something left over from, I don't want to say a bygone era, but from long time ago when you were allowed to have a house on a 1 acre lot in Hollis Center Village, and it's since changed?
I don't recall a 1 and a 2 acre zone in the Hall Center Village zone.
Okay.
It is in that zoning ordinance that we have right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
When it got in there, I couldn't tell you that.
Okay.
Let me see if I wrote it down. I don't think I did. But I actually looked back. There was, so these multiple these multiple acreage zones seem to be something that were put in at some point all at one time. So someone expanded the districts to make it harder.
Well, we had 1 acre and 4 acre zones in the North Hollis Village zone before. That's always been there that I recall.
Yep.
But my memory isn't good as it always was, but I don't
Stop it.
recall the 2 acre zone in the Hollis Center Village.
So I guess for me, what's the value of having, first of all, that's our most developed area of town, Hollis Center Village. So I'm not sure there's a lot of developmental opportunity there to begin with. So I'm not sure that we need 2 zones in an area that doesn't have a ton of opportunity to grow. And the second piece would be, that's identified as a growth area, but there's not a lot of space to grow. So how would you be a growth area?
That is true, but that Hollis Center Village zone does go out into the 2 acre rural zone. No.
So is it, well, you can't have 2 zones.
I've got a map.
Awesome. That was the other thing. Do we have a map that actually shows like the roads? I was looking up
I get this.
something.
That's all I do every time.
Does that have actual roads on it?
It has the roads, but it doesn't have, obviously, the names. So as long as you,
So then you gotta match them up.
The
online.
map that was done
It's on the website, though. That's a start.
was designed as a layer to be overlaid on a
Yep.
map, not necessarily as a standalone map.
No, it's not.
Because Hollis Center Village is a small area. Same
Okay,
with,
that's
Center Village?
so you're saying it butts up against 2 acre.
Yeah,
Center
it
Village,
goes
all
up
these weeds.
117.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, just a little gap.
And 2 acre.
Yeah, yeah.
2 acre.
This is a fire barn.
And-
down
and
there. Post office is right
You could
here.
always expand the village zone.
That
We thought that was an
And you live north of here?
Me?
Yeah.
So does anybody have any objection to removing the Hollis Center Village 2 acre zone?
and making all the stuff into the 1 acre, switching the stuff
Correct.
into the 1 acre zone. Yeah.
I make a motion. Do we have to make? No. we
You
don't
don't
make
need to make a motion.
Too many books out.
Nick? Tom?
No, I'm good.
I'm good with getting rid of the 2 and making it all 1, and does that work for you?
Suits me.
So I'll move everything from 2 into 1?
Yep.
Okay. I love it. So saying, so in that same vein, I don't believe that a zoning ordinance, as a use table, I don't think a use table should have the,
Maybe they had a.
Fast acting. Good job, guys.
On Zoom?
I think
Yeah.
I averted.
That was fantastic. All right.
So can somebody just take over our Zoom feed?
Well, I set up so I have to let them in, but I don't know who I'm supposed to let in and who I'm not, so Ben
But-
told me to just let everybody in. I will not be doing that anymore.
Yeah, I think they might have hacked in.
I think we kind of have to let everybody in.
Yeah.
Right,
we
but
did.
can they
say
take
no.
over the screen, I guess?
I think if you use the webinar function, they can't do that.
Yeah, we can make it so they can't take over the screen, please.
We probably don't be.
God, that was.
That went out to the public, did it not?
Oh yeah, that's on YouTube now.
YouTube's gonna ban that video so quick. Hey, carry on. We'll be okay.
What a great first meeting.
Wow.
Well, somebody ought
I've
to,
never seen that before. I mean,
Bennett goes away for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Figure out her email stuff.
So I apologize to the public for the interruption in the meeting. It was obviously not meant from anybody on the board, or
Clearly.
but somebody joined our meeting and took over our feed. We are working on preventing that in the future. Again, apologies. So
we're gonna go back to whatever Heather was talking
I don't know what
about.
Heather was saying.
I got you. So, so North Hollis Village, but you said we have a 1 acre and a 4 acre. That one, I'm not necessarily thinking that we need to change it. Although, North Hollis Village, is that the other growth area?
Yeah, that's also identified as a
Yeah,
growth area.
North Hollis Village is in this area.
It is a growth area.
Yeah.
So I don't know why we would have any, thank you. Again, this is already all.
Well, see, in that area, there's not a lot of room. There's this
Yep.
big area here, but
Is that one
Is this
by a
the
large
one or
company?
the 4 acre zone?
It's both.
this,
Okay, gotcha.
yeah, it would be
Like,
both.
so that's what I don't understand too. What is the 4 acre zone?
So does that mean it could, if you're gonna build a house, you have to have 1 or 4 acres?
No, that's,
It's
no. that doesn't
probably,
make
yeah,
sense.
residential is probably 4 acre and otherwise it's probably 1 acre.
I didn't
It
see
says
that.
larger
anywhere.
lot sizes are required in some areas of the zone to minimize risk for groundwater contamination.
And then there is the language from the comp plan. Which is North Hollis Village. Right, yeah. So it's big shoreline zoning district in there, which means that we gotta look at shoreline zoning. Oh, no, that's Suffolk. So North Hollis Village is supposed to be a major secondary highway intersection surrounded by residential. High growth potential.
For, what's it called?
North Hollis
For North
Village
Hollis
zone.
Village.
I don't see, I mean, this is like. There's like 25 pieces of land, 25 parcels. And that's gonna be our growth area?
Well, I thought that's what EOZ was basically connecting the two.
But
Was
EOZ we don't have, that's not residential.
what do you mean?
EOZ is economic overlay zone.
Are you just talking about for growth? Are you-
Growth is residential,
okay,
according in the way the state thinks of it.
I understand.
Yep, I think when we had the discussion about affordable housing it was people wanted it to be as limited as possible, so we only put it in the areas that we needed to. And that was the decision we made at the time.
I'm not even talking about affordable housing.
Are you just talking about
I'm
development
talking
in
about
general?
growth. Well, what I'm talking about
That would
is,
be a comp
Yep.
plan change.
well, and I think what I'm talking about is, we have these two zones. We have the 4 acre and the 1 acre.
Yeah.
In the 1 acre, we don't allow housing. We don't allow home daycares. We don't allow senior housing. We don't allow a community center.
But that's
Yeah,
supposed to
because
be
that's
where-
also the reason for the 4 acre zone is to minimize the risk of groundwater contamination. So I think that makes sense to not have those in that, that
Okay.
area.
So in the 1 acre, what I see is, first of all, we have to add, accessory dwelling units, because any residential can have an accessory dwelling unit, so we can't prohibit it by zone.
But it's only where single families are allowed, and single families are not allowed in that zone.
Okay. So what about the people that have a single family in that zone already?
Like I said, it has to be something that's left over from.
Okay, so can they have an ADU?
Well, doesn't it say something about,
You can't.
if there's a residential lot, it can have an ADU on it?
If it has a yes, a dwelling. Can it,
If
so
it's-
if someone
if it-
uses it as a house?
If it is already a residential lot, then they can put a ADU on it. Still has to meet requirements.
Has to meet.
But to go back from that, maybe
Yeah, because it does say 1 ADU is permitted on single-family dwelling lots. So I guess it would make sense to put those in there, even if, so if there's existing single-family dwelling lots in those zones, it would make sense to put that as permitted, even if we don't allow new ones, because the ones that are currently there, we are,
Yeah.
according to performance standards, are required to have them there.
And the same with Hollis Center Village.
Yes.
Hollis Center Village allows them.
Ho-
Oh no, sorry.
No.
Yeah, well, it will
Yeah, yeah,
because we're moving
right.
2 acre
I'm sorry.
over.
Yep. You're right.
Because the ADUs are permitted on a non-conforming lot.
That was my question.
Yeah.
It was
Provided
allowed
does
to
not
make it-
increase the degree of the so as long as you don't make it more non-conforming.
Would we allow anyone who is currently in a single family home or other to have a home daycare?
have a what?
Home daycare, at home daycare.
See, I don't see why you wouldn't. Like
That's why I bring it up.
in literally every zone.
Agreed. The only places that it doesn't exist is it will now be in the Hollis Center Village and this North Hollis Village.
I'd like to go back to the Hollis Center Village Zone for
Okay.
a second.
Sure.
It makes sense that if you want to have a dwelling unit, you want to build a home, your minimum requirement's going to be 80,000 square feet. You're going to need 2 acres.
Then we've got to keep it separate.
It's either that or go in there and put that stipulation on it. I don't think it hurts to have the 2 acre listed. It just shows if you want to build a home, you need 2 acres.
Yep,
If you want to have a barber shop, you can do it on 1 acre.
got it.
You know,
Yep,
I don't know if there's barber shop in there, but that's just an example.
that's a good example.
And I think the same thing in the North Hollis Village. If you want a residential lot, it's got to be 4 acres.
Okay. So we're not going to merge those two together, but we should add language into the zoning ordinance, and that is inconsistent with that. Requiring people to have 2 acres is inconsistent with it being a growth area.
I guess that was my question. Does it follow the comp plan if we don't allow residential unless you have 4 acres?
Well, high-intensity residential growth is not recommended in HCV, according to,
In Hollis Center Village?
correct. In order to prevent
In 1
or
acre-
development that could create unsafe septic conditions or endanger the freshwater supply.
And they consider 1 acre high intensity?
I'm assuming that's where that comes from.
I mean, high intensity is like 0.25
Well,
acres.
and that's the thing. So over time, our
So,
I see what you're saying. I don't consider 1 acre lot high intensity.
no,
But if there's a definition somewhere that says this is what high intensity or this is what,
I don't believe there is.
too close developed houses are,
I don't believe there is.
well,
So-
and I guess that's my
So I guess-
question.
Here's my question to you guys. Do we want to get this, do we want to go through and make more changes? Or do we want to have a phase 3 to go back and look at zoning, zoning changes as far as zones?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we did this a
We
little
could
bit
s-
backwards, so we should have started with the comp plan.
Well, we don't have a new comp plan,
Correct?
and I don't know when we will.
Correct.
So,
So, I mean, we've already been given our direction on that, so I don't even think it's a discussion.
correct. So, well, after June, we can start working on new things.
Okay.
Or we can work on things prior to June.
Mm-hmm.
We can ask for outside help after June or
Yeah.
July, for whatever the
Yeah,
fiscal
I'll
year.
find out what it is.
Yeah.
So that being said, so I do want to kind of address a couple more things in here. I do not think that the use table is the appropriate place for us to have RR2C, which is RR2 cluster. And if we do have that, it should only allow cluster subdivisions. Why would you let anything else in an RR2C? RR2C isn't a zone, it's a use.
Right. The
Didn't
cluster would be a use of the land in there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you. I don't think we should have that separate zone with the cluster.
Yep, or I don't think with the,
RR3.
yeah, so it's an RR2, we have it in the use table, RR2C, and then we have RR2S, RR3S, which is subdivision, and then we have RR3C. And in our ordinances, subdivision is residential. So I understand that you could have a subdivided property or a subdivided building that was a business use, but our ordinance says subdivided is residential.
Some definition that you're
I
looking at.
believe so.
Well, there's also an RR2C that shows half acre.
Yep. Well, yeah, because cluster. Subdivision. So, into 3 or more dwelling units.
There's only a couple things allowed in RR2C.
It should only be cluster subdivisions, because why would you wouldn't RR2C something unless you're building a cluster?
And they have senior housing, but I guess it doesn't matter what
cluster.
that's what I mean. It doesn't matter what the
So-
housing is.
Right, there's nothing in RR2 that is designated as RR2C.
Right.
It's not a
I understand what
zone,
you're
it's a
saying.
use. So I don't think that we should have a whole,
That column should be deleted.
Yeah,
I
that's- yeah.
I agree with you.
Could I make a suggestion?
sure.
Of course.
One thing you could do, like based on what we've seen, is you could put like an asterisk or a footnote next to a use, and then have like a note that says cluster subdivisions require XX amounts of acres, or rather than having a full column,
Awesome, love it,
you could do like a footnote
awesome.
for the specific uses that are like unique or whatever.
And I think we have
Just
cluster.
that would be one way to deal with it. I'm not saying you should.
We could also just have cluster subdivision as a use, and then
which it
put
is.
it in the right,
Cluster subdivision is a use, right?
Yes.
I don't see it.
We already had.
Oh, because the other thing I did was I separated residential and business.
Clusters up here.
Yep.
Fifth one from
Yep.
the top.
So then, that's it. Where is it? Okay, so it's permitted in 2 acre. It's permitted in North Hollis Village, or conditional. It's conditional everywhere. And then so then it would be conditional. Now it would just, the C would go into RR2 2 acre, and it would be C.
And
And
RR3.
we would get rid of this. Yep. Let's see. Okay. Perfect. Good. So then,
So-
oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, it'd be rabbit hole.
Okay, let's not do it. I'm not sure if folks, okay, so we have North Hollis Resource Conservation Zone. It's a small zone. It surrounds the lakes or ponds. Then we also have in our shoreline zoning ordinance what's called resource protection. And that's like 500 feet off. I'm not sure the exact definition, but it's like 500 feet off of a river or a lake.
Yeah, steep slopes and things
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, so which one of them should be more strict? Or should they be the same?
Resource
You
protection.
would
is-
assume it would be the one around the active body of water,
Correct.
and not.
Not the one that's 500 feet off, or, because RP in shoreline zoning, that is, it's not really a zone.
It's a separate.
It's,
Yeah.
it's part of other zones.
I understand.
Because what I'm reading, when I was looking at this, So I'll give you an example. We, in our old ordinance, we have accessory use, okay? And that is, wait, is that one? So it is conditional in North Hollis resource conservation,
Yeah.
but it's permitted in resource protection. That seems backwards. Accessory use. And if you follow it over,
Accessory use was,
it should, I mean, accessory use should, anywhere there's an 80, anywhere you can have an accessory structure, you should be permitted to have an accessory use
but it's conditional in
in
a
North Hollis
a
resource. But,
5-acre zone.
yeah, but it's
But
not.
permitted
Mhm.
in a 100-foot area close to a
I'm
street.
not sure if 100 is the right
I
number.
understand.
And it's also permitted in a flood zone.
What's the? This is where we go back to the comp plan, right?
Yeah.
Does it say?
Well, if it-
I just don't. I get what you're saying. I don't understand why it says.
and do we, so anything that's a C on here means it has to come in front of us. Do we
Correct.
really think that an accessory structure needs to come in front of us in North Hollis Resource Conservation? So long as they're following the ordinances, like what are we gonna say about it? No, you can't build a garage?
Well, we might say that.
What would cause us to say that?
If they wanted to build it where it shouldn't be built.
But if they wanted to build it where it shouldn't be built, they couldn't get a building permit for it. Cause the
Code enforcement.
code
officer would
enforcement
say
wouldn't
no.
let them.
What grounds would they use?
The grounds that
allowed.
say you're in North Hollis Resource Center zone, and so your setback from structures has to be X, Y, and Z. So I guess what would cause them, if they met the requirements of the frontage, setbacks, building height, maximum lot coverage, what would we add to that? What would cause me to say you can't have a garage there because it's what?
I don't know.
If they're meeting the requirements in the zone, like I look at,
Because we wouldn't have any. If code enforcement can't find anything wrong with it, then we're not going to be able to find anything wrong with it.
just, we think that it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's yeah.
Well, but the code enforcement officer is going to adhere to the zoning ordinance,
Yes.
okay?
Mhm.
If he doesn't have something in the zoning ordinance to hang his hat on, he shouldn't be making a decision,
Correct.
Agreed.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, somebody's gotta have the authority, and I think the zoning ordinance is what gives that authority to him.
Mm-hmm. Yes. He
So
has
needs-
that authority.
Needs, something needs to be in there. But these zones, this resource protection and flood hazard zone, those are all special requirements for properties. And they're not shown on the zoning map,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Yep.
Like I said before, the resource protection.
They are shown on the shoreline zoning map, though.
Which is a guideline.
Okay. But still, it's 500 feet from the water, it's a 20% slope.
Yep.
You know? And I think you would deal with that. For instance, you come in with a subdivision plan, and you can't see any distance between the contour lines, you know, you got a pretty steep slope, and you
Yep.
probably shouldn't be doing anything there.
Yep. Yep.
So, you know, you would work off of that, but
Well, you can't put a subdivision in a resource protection or North Hollis Village.
when you start trying to limit, I just don't think the use table is a place for that resource protection column, okay?
Well, it's funny you should say that because in shoreline zoning, it has its own use table. So you're right, it shouldn't be here. You're absolutely right.
So, without getting, because this is, bigger changes. Does you have to have a conditional use permit to get an accessory dwelling in resource protection?
Yes, you do. That's what this says.
Are we allowed to?
Well, because it's,
Are we allowed to say that though, or does it have to be permitted? It's an accessory dwelling unit.
well, you're allowed it, but it needs to, be able to put it somewhere else in your property. It's allowed on the lot, right?
Mm-hmm,
Doesn't mean it could be necessarily in the resource protection zone on your lot.
mm-hmm. That's a good point. Yep. Well, it's conditional, so if you wanted to put it in the resource protection zone, you'd have to come to us, and we'd have to say,
Which I think that's reasonable because, you know,
I think it's much more reasonable for resource protection than it is for North Hollis resource conservation.
That's kind of what I'm getting at, is that
yeah, resource protection I think should be more conditional, looked at closely.
Yeah.
North Hollis. Yeah.
Well, everything in that column is conditional.
Resource protection,
Yeah.
Except
like
for
it.
accessory structure, which this should be conditional.
Well, there's.
well, no, what you're looking at, if it's if the P is crossed out, that means it was a P, and I'm suggesting it should be a C, or there was something that suggested it. No, I know what it was. I think it is what's in the use table in the shoreline zoning ordinance.
So it's bringing it closer to what's in the shoreland zone use table.
Yep.
Well, there's different, it's less than 2 acres and greater than 2 acres, so it's kind of,
Yeah, resource protection has its own whole use table, and there's different versions of resource protection. There's greater than 10 acres, less than 10 acres,
Yep.
and then there's also SP, which I'm assuming means special, and then there's LSC. I don't know what that one is.
SP might be site plan.
I mean, we have one of the most complicated.
Is there a reason why ADUs require planning board approval and resource protection?
That was kind of
Because
my
I think it's
question.
because it was in the use table in the shoreline zoning ordinance. Let me double check that. Because I don't think I've ever used this use table.
Well, the only place we say it's conditional is in the resource protection zone. It's permitted everywhere else,
Mm-hmm.
except for the 1 acre.
No, in the use table that's attached to the shoreline zoning ordinance, single and two-family residential, including driveways, requires planning board review.
You're in what now? Shoreline zone?
In SPZ 75, and then both resource protection. So
And then also right below it, multi-unit residential. I don't know if an ADU would end up being multi-unit residential, but that's planning board and LSZ.
right, but not in the other two, which multi-units are supposed to come in front of us. All of them are supposed to come in front of us. So we've got a little bit of a problem. Which governs the use table, the zoning ordinance use table, or the shoreline zoning use table? And why aren't they the same?
Well, the listings in the shoreline zone
Mm-hmm.
use table apply to the shoreline zone.
Mm-hmm, yep. So then I would say they don't need to be in the use table.
I wouldn't think so.
okay, that makes sense to me. So we're moving the resource protection use table out of,
And flood hazard zone. Right.
because they're both in
So we're
shoreline
taking
zone.
that out?
I'm not sure about flood hazard zone. Let me double check that.
Maybe it was originally just brought over from there, so
Maybe,
it
but
could
it
all be
never
on
got updated,
one.
that's
And that's
why.
what I mean, and
But
then
if-
never
Yeah.
updated.
things don't get updated, then it gets,
So if we have it in its appropriate place, then it can get updated.
Flood hazard zone is not, yes, it says see floodplain management ordinance, so it's actually in the floodplain management ordinance, not in,
alright, so we should be able to take both of those out.
okay. I will take them out.
Thank you.
Well done.
To continue on, I'm not
That's
done
the
yet.
FHD.
Yeah.
So now the specific uses.
Yep,
So if we're taking out all these, this will fix a lot of my questions, but not all of them. Per the comp plan, I believe that, well, we talked about affordable housing, we're not gonna make that change yet. In dwelling multifamily, shouldn't those all be C? Don't those all have to come in front of us?
yep,
Okay. I don't know why they are P here, but they're gonna get changed to Cs. Should single family homes be allowed in every zone? I guess now it is, except it's not, well, it shows up as being permitted in North Hollis Resource Center, so I guess we just keep it. And then permit it in,
I guess
so it's
Hollis
not
Center
in one,
Village.
it's not on 1 acre. It's not in North Hollis Village 2 acre. Are we okay with that?
for the time being until that gets
Okay.
addressed at a bigger
Okay.
level.
Perfect. And then 2-family and single-family, do we consider those, we want those to mimic each other, correct?
Yep.
Okay, great. Next up is mobile home park. Why are we not allowing a mobile home park in wherever we allow clusters?
Was there? I thought on the mobile home park you didn't need the open land.
You don't.
Right. So in a cluster, you've got 10 acres and 5 is developed.
Mm-hmm.
You still have 5 that's in open. In a mobile home, you just have 10 acres developed.
Depends on what, I can't remember what.
It's half. I believe it's half acre, if I'm not mistaken. I thought it was, excuse me, quarter acre.
No, don't all homes have to be clustered?
Yeah, kind of. Mobile home parks are subdivisions and shall meet subdivision criteria. That's what we say.
Yeah.
So mobile home parks within the town must meet main requirements for mobile home parks.
Yep.
And they are subdivisions.
Yep.
10 acres is the minimum, and the lot size is either minimum dimensional requirements or reduced in accordance with the cluster subdivision standards.
Yep. So just throw it allow.
Oh, so it can't go lower than
But
cluster,
not less than 20,000 square feet.
which is half acre.
Yep.
So if you want to make that change to R2, R3,
So what, are we adding, are we allowing mobile home parks in 2 and 3?
well, they're in 2 and 3 cluster right now,
Yeah.
so there should be an R2 and R3.
Wait, where is 2 and 3? Where is cluster? Oh, up at top, yeah.
Because aren't we getting rid of the R2C and R3C? So we need
Yeah.
to move to R2 and R3
But we'll make them, mobile home parks
conditional.
conditional. Okay, so everywhere, so that means clusters are allowed in HCV 1, HCV 2?
Making minimum 10 acres. So
And what about North Hollis Resource?
I don't know if you want mobile home park in the center village.
There's not enough land for it anyway, but,
Because you need 10 acres.
yep.
And I think the whole, what's it
The whole
called?
point of the
Only-
village area is to keep everything dense.
Right.
So I would say you don't want that was in the village zones.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So not in HCV, not in NHV.
So is that true for cluster too? Because I show clusters as not having any, like, I didn't have anything in that row.
What do you mean?
I didn't have
Anything-
conditional,
Oh, okay.
I don't
I see
have
what
it
you're saying.
anywhere. Is it in the zoning ordinance right now?
As far
I mean, in the use table right now? Clusters?
cluster subdivision.
Yes, because I didn't have anything to,
Oh, to go off of.
right,
Let me see.
I'll just pull it up.
A, B, C, D.
I don't have a
It
nice
just says-
bind. I don't have a nice binder like Danielle does, so I can't really
Permitted
find
in-
it. No, I'm.
I got it. So use table,
The current use table,
current use table,
which has been updated since. Oh, thanks.
in a while,
2016.
Yeah. so
So
10
it's-
years, almost.
Okay.
Cluster residential subdivisions. It's showing as permitted, but it's not, it's conditional. And that is in HCV 2 acre, North Hollis Village,
4
4 acre,
Yeah.
West Buxton Village,
2
and then RR2 and RR3.
RR2 or RR2C?
But that's
I know,
R2
I know.
now.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it shows it in
I would say
RR2C.
add it to R2, R3, and then change it. And we're good.
So we're taking away housing opportunity by
No.
what you're saying, because this was permitted previously in
I'm saying-
HCV,
Yeah,
in
I'm
NHV.
Yeah, I'm
and
saying leave it the way it was, but just move R.
move it to Cs.
Yeah.
Okay,
I say it would be C's anyway, right?
Yes.
it should be.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Butch. Sorry.
Let me ask you about RR3S.
That
getting
just
rid of
means subdivision.
We're gonna leave it in there, get rid of that column.
We're getting rid of the column.
Okay,
That was part of that.
okay.
Yep.
That's probably something I missed, probably.
That was part of getting rid of the cluster RR3, cluster RR,
Yeah, yeah, okay, good,
and then
good.
that way, it's the zone, and then
What's allowed
What are
in
we
the
doing
zones.
with the resource protection? We leaving that?
getting rid of that,
We're getting rid
Yep.
of that also.
getting rid of that column,
And flood hazard.
and flood
And the flood
hazard,
hazard, that makes sense.
because they're elsewhere.
So now everything in the zoning ordinance, that's all we have in here,
Right,
right? That
right,
makes
you got a
sense,
flood
right?
hazard,
Ordinance.
ordinance, yeah.
So that way, one thing doesn't get updated there and not updated here. Because then that's what causes problems. Things get in 3 places because everybody's trying to make it easier. But then things get updated and nobody doesn't do all 3, and then you come up with all these confusions.
Home daycare, I assume we want to permit that anywhere, everywhere.
What was that?
Home daycare?
Yeah.
I don't see why not. I have a question about that also.
Okay.
Home daycare
Mhm.
is 3 to 9 or something like that?
We have a
And
definition.
Commercial daycare is, you're allowed more.
Yes, it's about the license that you get from the state. There's stronger, so when you get your daycare license, there's a lot more requirements if you are a commercial than if you're home. Home, it's just it's less kids. And home occupation, currently we don't allow it in Hollis Center Village 1 acre. I live in Hollis Center Village in a 1 acre, and
Well-
if I wanted to have a home occ,
See, we have residences in 1 acre zone because they were there long before we did anything.
mhm.
If you've got a residence there, you ought to be able to have a home occupation.
That's why I would consider it permitted.
I agree with that.
So permit home
Nick?
occupations everywhere.
Nick, any comments on this stuff?
I live in HCV and I would like home occupation permitted as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're not gonna get a new residence in a 1 acre zone, in the
Right.
village zone, because it's not gonna be allowed to begin with, so.
So are we adding cluster, we're not adding anything to mobile home park? We're not adding that to HCV or any of the other districts?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because you have to have a home to have a home
I agree.
But we do allow planned unit development
Yeah, with
in
single-
HCV.
In
And
which case you
North
have
Hollis
to be-
Village and West Buxton Village.
Okay, on the mobile home park,
Yep.
we're taking out the RR2C.
Yep. So it's moving over just
and
into
the other Where it
RR2.
was a conditional use.
Yep.
Yeah.
So where are we going to allow it?
RR2,
We're gonna allow it in the 2.
yep, and RR3.
Conditional.
Yes.
As conditional, correct.
And it-
And conditional in the 3,
Yep. A mobile home park should be conditional
and
anyway.
Yeah.
get rid of that, so, okay. It's really confusing till you get a new one made up,
Yes.
but I
Next version will look a lot better.
I saw another little idiosyncrasy.
Tell me, Butch.
P7. Okay, dwelling, single family,
Mm-hmm.
under the flood hazard, but we're getting rid of it, so
Yeah.
never mind.
Okay.
Because it was permitted, and then it was a note 7, which is not permitted.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I hear ya.
Quick question about home occupation. Are we putting a P in the HCV box for 1 acre?
Yes. No, yes. we
Okay.
are. Yep.
If we're gonna allow home occupations in that zone, then we should be allowing single-family homes in that zone as well.
We do allow
Right.
single-family homes. We don't allow new single-family homes. Is that the right?
Okay.
I'm not sure why that's the way it is, but that's the way it has been. And
That's one of those bigger change things that.
So if you had a pre-existing single-family home,
That-
but you wanted
yeah,
to add
do
the
one.
Correct.
yes,
okay.
if you have a
Yeah.
non-conforming lot currently, you can have a home
Right.
walk in your non-conforming.
Okay, that makes
So-
sense.
We're making affordable housing conditional in Hollis Center Village, North Hollis Village. But we don't allow rooming houses or senior housing.
Because it's very different.
Okay.
Affordable housing reduces density,
So does senior housing.
not by the same amount.
Not by definition, though. Senior housing?
Not by
yeah.
definition.
And not
Right.
by definition. does
Just
not.
by
Yeah, all right.
traditional,
Yeah.
like, normally,
All right, so going down.
Oh, wait, I got another one.
Yeah.
Why not? Okay, we answered that question. Why permitted and not conditional? Got that one. Okay. Yeah, so now we can go into like the business uses.
Yep.
that was all residential. Whew.
Yeah,
You're
that was all
killing it,
residential.
dude. Well done.
Agricultural processing, so orchard, right? That's agricultural processing. It's not allowed
Shouldn't that
currently.
shouldn't that just be gotten rid of and be
No,
part
we-
of agricultural?
No, because agricultural processing could also be like cutting up meat, cutting up cows.
I got you with the definition.
Would an orchard be processing though?
If they made cider,
I see.
I guess I didn't.
You
finish
don't
my
have a
thoughts.
definition for agriculture processing.
I thought we did.
Nope, it should just be agricultural now.
Because
Let's
the
make sure I
definition
add it
of agriculture covers production, keeping, maintenance of crops, plants.
Yep.
And that's not
Yeah, no, I got you.
processing.
I understand.
I agree with you on it's not. It was in there already, so that's a gap. So do we put a definition in, or do we make it part of?
You just make it part of agricultural.
I'm fine with that. So I'm gonna just I'll find
Commercial
that.
use premises for the keeping, for the production, keeping, or maintenance of crops, plants, or animals.
Can you just toss the word processing in there?
Yeah, I'll find something.
Perfect.
Add, agricultural processing.
Because it's literally for producing humans, for providing, not producing humans with food.
Alright,
You're
I'll
gonna
do
produce some humans?
With food.
We're gonna add that, and then we're gonna take out this. Okay, awesome.
Next.
Yep.
Well done.
So, aquaculture. Well, North Hollis Resource Conservation. There's a lot of things in currently. They're in red. Do we really think it's appropriate to have senior housing conditional, agriculture? And I think the reason why I saw that was because I think it was the comp plan. The comp plan is pretty limited about what should be in North Hollis Resource Conservation. 5,000 pieces of paper here. North Hollis Resource Conservation. It says in the comp plan, use provisions. Only single-family residential development and home occupation businesses will be allowed in this district. No intensive development of any type will be permitted. So that, to me,
Well,
says,
Sounds like we should delete everything else that's not that.
that's what I was thinking.
If that's what the comp plan says, unless we get a new comp plan that says we can add more.
Follow the comp plan.
Okay, so that takes care of that whole row. Next item is boathouses, piers, docks, wharfs, and bridges.
I think we beat that one to death, haven't we?
you know-
Yeah, but
Sorry,
the
hold on.
shoreline zoning ordinance says something different than what we say.
But
in
we're getting
this.
rid of those 3 columns except for EOZ.
Yep,
Do you not want senior housing in North Hollis
We're
Regional?
not to
you
senior.
can't, you can only have single-family residential development and home occupations. So you can't have it.
Okay. That's what, all right, perfect.
So shoreline zoning talks about boathouses and docks and whatnot.
Okay, so we're getting rid of the RP and FHZ, so,
Yep, so it's only gonna be allowed in EOZ.
and whatever shoreline says.
Okay, okay. Oh, so cannabis cultivation facility and product manufacturing facilities, these are the only uses that say anything about square footage of work area.
Is that a state thing?
Pardon?
Are there differences in state regs depending on the size?
I think that's pretty common to have it by size.
It's common, but it is, I mean, frankly, it is discriminatory. If we had other things in town that were limited by work area, I would be very comfortable with it. I understand it conceptually, but
What use are we talking about?
cannabis cultivation facility and
Okay,
cannabis
yeah,
products
yeah.
manufacturing.
I feel like we could have 3 meetings on that alone.
Okay,
So it's just not allowed in,
it's allowed in the economic overlay zone only. If
Oh,
it's
okay.
greater
I'm
than
sorry.
3,200
Yep.
square feet of work
I
area,
didn't see that.
which is, I can.
Respectfully, 3,000 is not really that much.
And I can make leather, which is like super damaging to the environment. I can do that wherever I want. It doesn't matter how I can have a huge water plant someplace in Hollis, huge depleting resources in Hollis,
Yeah.
but I can't have a greater than 3,200 square foot work area in my making gummies.
Right.
I can't make gummies. But if I just made non-infused gummies in Hollis, then I would be able to do it.
I like
Problem.
how it's we allow automobile graveyard and growing pot in the same place.
Yep.
Well, automobile graveyard, the one where there's a bunch of junk cars.
I'll put it to the side because I do agree it's a bigger discussion, but
Could tank the whole change.
noted.
Not saying I agree, disagree. I just don't want to throw away good for great.
I'm working on the
I-
80% better, and let's save the 20% for the future. Yep.
That's, yeah,
But I will say we will be hearing about this again.
I'm sure I would put money on it.
I'll leave that off. Cemetery. Is there a reason why we don't allow cemetery in North Hollis Village, but we allow it everywhere else?
Butch, you have any input in that? Any historical?
North Hollis Village or North Hollis, Resource Protection?
No, North Hollis Village.
I gotta see online.
You have it in HC.
You have an HCV.
Oh, no,
not-
I'm in the wrong column. Okay.
Just didn't make sense to me why it wouldn't be in North Hollis Village as well.
I don't know that it's something that somebody's trying to do or ever.
Is that why? Is it we're gonna make
mean-
these rules up because because somebody's trying to do it, or
Well, it's possible when they put this in there, that they put in zones where there are cemeteries already.
yep.
That makes
Yep.
sense.
Okay,
I mean,
Mhm.
that could be the reason for that.
agreed.
Buy that for $1.
I'll take it. So, do we agree with that?
I don't have a reason to disagree with it.
I don't
That's
have a
where we
reason
want-
to agree with it.
That's where we want our growth. No,
Right. So, a
Yes.
cemetery is not growth.
I'm just saying it's gonna be tricky to growth with.
So then, why are we
cemetery.
doing it in Hollis Center Village?
I was gonna say, I mean, the argument would be to take the COA and just make it blank completely.
Are we not?
That's your growth area.
Well, Hollis Center Village has a cemetery there already.
It'd be
Ah,
but we all-
non-conforming.
Oh.
It'd just be
But we
non-conforming.
said the same.
True, okay,
But we
yeah,
said the same thing about
Doesn't mean they have to get rid of it.
ADUs, right?
Doesn't mean they have to get rid of it.
right.
But there's already single-family homes in some of these
Yeah.
non-residential areas,
Mhm.
and now that they're there, they're gonna stay there,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing.
So we put it there and that's fine.
Put it where?
It's a cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in North Hollis Village. I don't. Why
1
would-
acre or 4 acre?
I don't want to get started with 4 acre.
I think when in doubt, leave it alone.
So just don't do anything and have it be inconsistent across the two growth areas. I think that inconsistency is actually more of a problem.
I can't find a reason to get rid of it or to not allow it beyond.
Are
We
there
want we want growth in businesses and houses and stuff like that there.
Are there different setbacks from cemeteries for other
I
building?
don't think there's a use.
I don't think we have a cemetery use
I don't think so. I don't think there's any special performance guarantees. Or, sorry.
standards.
Yeah, there's no.
Well,
reason
Because I can just imagine, right?
The
You can't,
cemetery's gonna be regulated by the state.
Yep. So is cannabis.
you can't have a bunch of wells around a cemetery.
Minimum thing you would have to have is
Tiny.
25 feet setback from any of your property lines.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That would be the minimum that I would think.
Yep. We ran into that in a subdivision not long ago.
And you put your well on the other side, right?
I didn't hear what you said.
You put the well on the other side.
Yeah.
It's no worse than a septic.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Fair.
But all that's I guess, like I said, if we're talking about zones that are supposed to be for growth, everything else in this ordinance is undoable except for a cemetery. So it's something that,
So I guess, I think we should take it away out of the NH or HCV,
like I said, everything else
We already
is,
have one there, is that gonna be a problem?
non-conforming.
yeah,
All right,
everything
I'm
else
okay with that.
we can,
Add it in the
Undo.
NHV or take it out of the HCV.
I say take it out of HCV, it's my vote.
Yeah, I have no problem with it.
Take it out, take it out.
yeah.
taking it out. Next item
Can't undo a
is
cemetery.
No.
commercial use not listed in use table. So I guess my,
Ooh,
oh,
I
no,
want-
I've got two things. One is, so we don't have a definition of church.
Thought we
Could
added
church fit someplace else in, like, with something else?
We have, yes, we do.
We don't have a definition of church? Really?
It's usually
Oh,
place of
we
worship.
added it. No, you're right, we added it. Yeah, we added, we didn't have one, we added it. So then, they're gonna be conditional everywhere? Is that, it's, except for North Hollis Resource Conservation?
When did we
Yes.
add it?
Agreed.
Okay.
When did we add it?
When did we add church?
When
We just added the
updated
definition, it was
definitions.
already a use.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we put
Okay,
it,
so what we're saying is,
It was churches and schools, I think.
commercial use not listed in use table.
Mm-hmm. That would be conditional everywhere, right?
Well,
correct, except for the stuff that we took out.
Then why do we have a
that's
use
like,
table?
Just come in and tell us what you wanna do, and we'll tell you whether you can do it or not.
Yeah.
The issue was we've had businesses that came to Hollis wanting to set up shop here and had land to do it, but the town couldn't find a use on the use table that fit it fit multiple uses,
Yeah.
but none of them enough to satisfy the powers that be. So when somebody wanted to set up a
Wedding venue.
thank you, a wedding venue up on Mansion, I believe. There was 100 and some odd acres up there. It was turned down because they didn't have a use on the use table that fit it. So they tried.
There
Sorry.
used to be some statement about only uses or similar uses or something else can be permitted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which left some room for common sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really big problem,
Yeah, I agree.
okay, when you don't allow for that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we did change the wording of that sentence to make it a little bit more clear. At the very end, you'll see, any use not explicitly listed in the use table shall be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. The planning board shall determine whether the applicant has proven that the proposed use is similar in character or permitted uses and is consistent with the intent of the zoning
There you
district
go.
before granting approval.
That ought
So
to
then
take
it
care
has
of
to be
that whole
conditional
line
in
item.
every,
Yeah,
okay.
So yeah, that would just be conditional
across the board.
everywhere
Yep.
on a case-by-case basis.
Yep, well, every.
If you don't
conditional
have a
is case
definition.
by
Well,
case.
yeah.
Well, not your RRs.
Well, that
Maybe just get
statement,
rid of it.
Or get rid of it completely and fall back on that statement.
Either
that's
one.
what I say.
Yeah, okay,
That statement says it.
yeah,
Yep.
Says the whole thing of it.
okay. I'm happy, I think, yeah, I don't even remember how. we
Our
did it.
planners are suggesting it, and it sounds good to me.
I just feel like that opens,
Opens the door to a
that
lot
could
of.
be a lot of different things.
Yep.
Okay.
I agree.
So community center. So we added a definition for function hall. And then I noticed that the current community center definition and the function hall uses are inconsistent, and to me, those two I would think they would be similar. So definition of community center is,
A government or not-for-profit owned premises and/or structures designed to provide a community space for recreational, social, educational, health, culture, or similar activities and services. One breath.
and function hall
I didn't get that far. That's you.
Function hall, a commercial use of premises and/or buildings to hold private or public events, including but not limited to fundraisers, private parties, weddings, business meetings, conventions, and holiday fairs.
So is the difference commercial and public?
A government or not-for-profit owned premises, and
I
then
don't
a
like not-
commercial use of premises.
Is there a reason why a community center is not allowed in Hollis 1 acre, North Hollis Village 1 acre, but a function hall
That's
is allowed, or conditional.
that's a fantastic question because you would assume you would want community centers in your village centers. It would make sense at least.
Yes.
I feel that it would make sense. So I am on board.
Yeah, I think it would make sense to make community center mirror function hall.
Okay.
Because the only difference is
Those two 1 acre.
Who owns
government not-for-profit, and for-profit.
Is there a reason why we don't allow convenience stores in RR2, RR3?
Don't allow what?
Convenience store, that doesn't mean gas. It's not gas station.
Because that was meant to,
Would they be allowed in the EOZ?
Yes,
They are, yep.
So
conditional.
that would take care of that.
because if you look at the definition of convenience store,
It's supposed to be like a neighborhood store.
yes,
So wouldn't you want it in?
well, your bigger acres, you know, I think you're gonna want it in your village zones and your EOZ.
Do you think that
That one wasn't, I didn't have a particular,
That
that
was
what-
the reason why it is the way it is.
uh,
Open to change if people want to allow it more, but that was the reasoning.
that would be allowing a convenience store up off Deer Wander? Is that correct?
If we added it in
If you added it to RR2 and like, and
Yeah.
I don't know that that's
probably don't want to go that route.
but you could have it on 202 because that's part of economic overlay.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
and 117 and 4A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daycare center, is there any zone that we don't want a daycare center in other than North Hollis Resource?
It's
Wait.
allowed everywhere right now.
Daycare center isn't allowed in the resource conservation.
We
zone.
can't allow it. You can only allow
Oh, that's
homes.
right. That's right. Sorry.
It is allowed. It is allowed everywhere.
It's not allowed
in the-
in RR3 and it's not allowed in
Yeah, it is.
RR2.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, wait, am I looking at the wrong?
Yes, you are.
So this we put in here, so these, if they're in red, it's not been voted on yet.
Oh well.
So I put those in because I think they should
Well-
be.
It's a rural zone,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And you're gonna put a commercial use in it.
Yeah, just like we put in,
Auto service.
agriculture,
Yep.
bed and breakfast, campground, cannabis cultivation facility, small.
We're talking daycare center.
It's a daycare. I would want my daycare to be near my house.
Yeah. And we've got a conditional in all zones, don't we?
Yep.
That was her question.
Yes, if it's in red, that means it's not, I'm suggesting it for the use table.
And
Anything in red is what people are gonna be voting on.
We took it out of resource conservation, the C with a cross
Yep.
through it, because
You can't
it
have
didn't
that.
follow the comp plan.
Yep.
And the comp plan says that the only thing in resource conservation zone with a giant water plant is houses.
Mhm. So I just wanna make sure everyone's comfortable saying that a daycare center could be a conditional use in every other zone.
Why not?
Agreed. A stable, an equine facility,
I'm going to make it the same as our agriculture,
so that means it's allowed everywhere pretty much, right?
conditional everywhere.
Agriculture's permitted, you want it conditional?
I think equine should be conditional.
All right.
There's a lot more potential risk with that.
Yep.
Agreed. Horses getting loose and such.
Farm stand, I assume that farm stand,
Everywhere.
why do we have farm stand different than
So
agriculture?
so a code enforcement officer can't tell you no.
For a farm stand? So why do we have it at all?
I mean,
If you can't say no,
Because then they can't say they have nothing to back them up.
got it,
So
Okay.
I want something in there
got it. Okay,
back
So
up our
everybody
blue,
can have a farm
blue
stand.
collar, hardworking Hollis citizens that built the town of Hollis. So they don't have to go fight the town to be able to
Sell
sell
some eggs.
eggs and corn.
do we?
That eggs
so-
was the reason I thought of that because everybody
Well
has.
done.
Is there a definition for farm stand?
Yep, we're adding
We
one.
added it.
This one last week's.
Food service establishment mobile unit, so that's not a non-permanent item, so I think we said we were gonna allow it everywhere. I do think that we can allow it in North Hollis Resource Zone.
Because it's not a permanent
It's not
structure.
permanent.
Yep.
Yep. Then, function hall, we just talked about. Are we, funeral establishment, we have it in RR3. Not sure if that's the right use for RR3. And then I think we should add it to 1 acre, North Hollis Village.
I agree. I feel that businesses should be conditional in both the 1 acre HCV and North Hollis Village. That's where we want our businesses.
Well, it's conditional in the EOZ, which then also falls in those.
Of course, funeral establishment.
I think in the village zones, you want those in EOZ only and not necessarily off the smaller off streets.
I don't want like a Tully's or whatever it is up the street, across the street from Hannaford. I don't want that.
You
In
would
a
want
1
it.
acre. Like, what would you want then? It's a
Well,
low, it's a
You'd want it
low.
on you'd want it on in the EOZ. So you'd want it on 117 or
But what if I wanted to have
So
it
if you
someplace
have-
else?
I don't think you're gonna want to have.
Yeah, we don't have a very good EOC.
You're not gonna want to have a funeral home over here.
That's my house.
Right? You don't want a funeral home there.
Not in my
Actually, this is-
backyard.
Right? You'd want.
But you would though. Why would you not want it in that area?
You would, yeah.
I'm saying you want an EOZ zone.
This is my.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I'm
So you
saying
don't want it.
I don't want it. This isn't a bad
Yeah,
example.
no, right,
Over here, you know.
yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
you want it in the EOZ, not necessarily on the side streets of the
So then
village.
I think it should be conditional, because if it's.
Just put it in conditional in the EOZ and you're covered. EOZ takes
So
precedence.
that is actually coming up.
Are you leaving funeral establishment in RR2 and RR3,
I think take those out and put it in
and then
EOZ.
just leave it in EOZ?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take it out here.
You don't
Leave
wanna,
it. Is it permitted in
you don't
EOZ?
want a guy to be able to build one on the back
Conditional.
lot.
Right. You want to have it to be right on.
The main throughways, the highways.
So the reason I think that is anything that's going to be, which may change a couple other things on here. I think it's going to be high traffic. You want to be on the front lot.
Do you want it on the secondary? Could it be
Well,
on the secondary?
You know, you're still gonna entrance and exit, whether it's a front lawn or a driveway.
And growth
I
areas?
mean, if you're gonna have I think if you're gonna have a funeral home, you're
Yep.
gonna need a fair amount of parking space. You're gonna need a decent amount of property,
Agreed.
you know?
But the issue is, if you put it in RR2 and RR3, it gets way deep into side streets, and then you've got a neighborhood, which all houses around it, and then a funeral home because somebody had 10 acres and likes funeral homes. It doesn't. I don't know that it fits the character of the rest of the surrounding buildings. So obviously, sooner or later, towns get built up and they put businesses next to houses, but I believe there's still a lot of EOZ to be absorbed, or for businesses to absorb, than there is. We don't have that need to go off into RR3s and such yet. I believe that's why the EOZ was created, so that businesses could, because obviously Hollis Center Village and North Hollis Village is getting filled up. There's not much left there for space or anything. So EOZ was put in so that businesses had a place to go where they didn't before.
So let's talk about that really quick, because in the in the economic overlay zone,
In the comp plan?
in
Okay.
our zoning ordinance.
Yep.
Hold on, let me just find it. All right, that might not be what I'm thinking. Hold on, let me just check another thing.
What are you looking for?
Maybe it's standards. I thought I read someplace that it was uncertain whether EOZ, if it was not conditional in the underlying use, then you couldn't do it. But maybe I'm wrong.
We
Maybe it
changed that.
We did, okay. All right.
That's been a change.
Was that like our first change that we did?
Yep.
It was way
That was
back,
the
I
first. That was like what started me on this tangent of.
Huh, well, thanks for doing that. Much appreciated.
So we're taking that out of the,
R2 and R3, keep it in the EOZ.
Yep.
okay.
Uh,
Funeral establishment we're talking.
Correct.
Yep. Healthcare facility. So while I know a lot of people think of that as being a hospital, it could also just be a doctor's office. So I thought that it didn't make sense to me why we allow it in Hollis Center Village, 1 acre, but not in North Hollis Village, 1 acre.
Agreed. Again, that's where we want business, and it's conditional use and EOZ.
Should horticulture mimic agriculture?
Ooh, what's the tip?
Horticulture is growing flowers for commercial. You've got flowers, trees, and agriculture
Growing
is
flowers.
fur.
Yeah,
Fur.
that's it.
It's the
Yep.
fur food, something.
Yeah.
Fur food.
That would be logical.
So I'll update that. Industrial use.
We absorbed.
We made that's a new use, so I just want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with allowing it only in HCV 2 acre, North Hollis Village 4 acre, RR2 2 acre, and EOZ, all conditional.
Industrial use of the use
What
of
about the
land.
3 acre?
It's a great, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even see that, I'm sorry, yes,
I
Butch,
think we should take that out of the 3 acre and keep it in EOZ.
okay.
Taking it out of 3 acre?
Take it out of R3.
Take it out of R2 and R3,
Excuse me.
Okay.
because the EOZ covers where we want to have them currently.
Okay.
In motel, hotel.
Same reason for the funeral home. Industrial uses, you don't want to have.
Okay.
What was the next one? Sorry.
Sorry, I just gotta take this out of R2. In motel, hotel, Hollis Center Village and North Hollis Village, it's only allowed in the larger acreages. I think an inn, can be very similar to a house, doesn't have to be huge, so I don't love not having that.
What's bed and breakfast though?
1 to 15 rooms.
1 to 15, and the owner has to live on site.
Mm-hmm. Or
What's
manager.
in?
The inn doesn't require that.
Correct. I don't know that we define inn.
Was this the conversation we had about Motel 6? Oh, that's why we split Motel 6 and bed and breakfast,
Yeah.
or in hotel, motel, and bed and breakfast off. Because that used to be one. That's right. I remember that.
Where's our definition of hotel, motel?
That's what
That's
I'm
what I'm looking
for.
for. I'm not seeing
In
it.
the old one?
Let's see, motel.
Did it not migrate over?
Migrate over, means there wasn't one.
In motel, hotel, bed and breakfast.
There's a,
No, there was definitely a definition. For it.
yeah, because I took bed and breakfast out of it.
I got the old one.
I don't have it in definitions, I just have it in the
H.
permit standards.
Well, it's not in the 1 acre
It's not in the old one either.
part of those zones. I don't know that you could
That's
put
the
one in
soil
1 acre part.
modification.
Why couldn't you, you had an inn, my parents, my mom owned an inn, in Waterboro that was 6 rooms, not Waterboro, sorry.
In or bed and
Waterboro.
breakfast?
It was an inn, it was called the Lakeside Inn. I don't know I don't know how far zoning was.
No, that's true, that's true.
Here,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
you
pull
can
it.
have it.
Do we not have a definition for?
You could convert it, you could convert it all to farmhouse.
We have bed and
There you
breakfast.
go.
I think we had one. I don't know where it went
Well,
to.
let's see if it's in the ones that are currently,
Well, I know I've changed it.
did you take it from state maybe?
Because I'm way back in the ordinance, and
Yeah, we don't even apply.
Are you looking for the definition for it? Is that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definition for inn, hotel,
from our
motel.
ordinance.
I don't see that.
I couldn't find one.
Okay. Because we have bed and breakfast. We've had bed and breakfast. I thought we had hotel, motel, inn. Well, that's awkward. We need one of those.
I think we had it and it just got deleted somehow.
Probably. I'm not
You have the copy I emailed you?
gonna- No.
And we have standards anyway.
Yeah, we do have standards. So I'll try to figure out where.
Yeah,
where it
we'll
went.
we'll find that one.
And I will add it.
Oh, these are backwards. That's why it's throwing me off.
Okay, I will add it and circulate.
Thank you.
What you got next?
So, so can we add in hotel motel to 1 acres?
6, we don't have a definition, but I did find it.
Oh, he's got performance standards.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have performance standards, no
Oh,
definition.
okay, sorry.
Um,
Fell behind there.
You got it in the EOZ, right?
we have it in EOZ,
And that'll take care of it.
but I mean, then that would take care of
But
almost
then
everything.
again, see, if you just let it, if you just leave it in the EOZ,
Mm-hmm,
That was the
that
microwave,
means somebody can't
not a stove.
build it on the back lot.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that, you know, that might be good, might be bad, but I don't know that we need to control that
Okay.
if we're gonna allow something.
I'm not against that.
Do you want a Holiday Inn in Deerwander on Deerwander Road?
Do you want a lakeside inn on Deer Ronda Road? Might not mind that.
So, do we allow Holiday Inn because we want a lakeside inn?
Maybe that's why you make it conditional. Space involved.
If we leave it as conditional, and
Well, it would be conditional anyway, because it's a
right,
business.
but we have no reason to say no if they follow the rules.
Correct.
So you can't stop Holiday Inn from a 500 unit
Yeah, you can, because you space and bulk.
if they have the land. If they own the land, we couldn't stop Holiday Inn from putting a 500 unit. There is no reason why they would want it. Absolutely no
Right.
reason. But I don't know that it fits the character of Deerwander Road.
Is that RR2?
That's RR3, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
So then where would we allow an inn, motel, and hotel?
EOZs.
Only. So it's like a gas station?
I believe so. That's why we allow bed and breakfasts. Breakfasts?
Right, but if you can have an inn that is small,
All you'd have to do is serve breakfast to be a bed and breakfast.
and you'd have to live
Owner
there.
has to reside there.
And it's up to 12, or 12.
Owner has to reside there,
Owner or manager.
or manager.
Mhm.
Somebody has to reside.
So you have to
there.
give up one of your rooms that you can make money off of
Understand.
in order for you to be a bed and breakfast.
So you either loosen the definition of bed and breakfast or move into its own thing. I understand. I completely understand what you're saying. You want a 6-room hotel,
Mm-hmm.
and it should be allowed in more places. Than
And I
a-
shouldn't have to live there.
You have to live.
Agreed. And
Well,
then
I
a
think we
500-room
But
hotel.
I think if that's the end goal, bed and breakfast and inn should be combined, and hotel motel should be separate.
Okay. And then the definition can be based on size
Yes,
or something.
correct. Or get rid of bed and breakfast altogether, make it inn,
Mm-hmm.
and then a
I like
hotel
it.
motel.
I like
Because there's
that.
no reason to have bed and breakfast if you have inn
Okay.
that has
So do we have a minimum size
I'd
or a
go-
maximum size?
15.
What it currently is for bed and breakfast?
Take bed and breakfast,
Yeah.
make it in, get rid of owner occupied. Use table, get rid of bed and breakfast, make it in, delete in at a hotel motel.
Mm-hmm.
Finito.
In same size, no manager.
That's really good. Well done.
Shaking it while shaking his head. So
Well
he agrees.
It's
Yeah, inn and a bed and breakfast are
I
pretty
love
much
it.
Potato,
the same.
potato.
I love it.
It's funny
Way better.
because hold on, time out. Look at this. In bed and breakfast, we added
Yeah, I don't know if it matters.
guest rooms and the owner has to reside in the building. We took out
That kind of-
may or may not offer meals. Has an owner living in the building is permanent. I say.
TH
So it was closer to inn before we changed it.
hotels and motels.
Hold on.
All right, I'll get a definition of that.
We have one somewhere.
Yeah, I'll go find it.
Finding that
Kennels.
kennel.
Are we comfortable that kennels will be conditional everywhere?
I think they're like
Yeah.
like daycares. You want them near your home.
Mm-hmm.
Dog daycare.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can't be in NHRC. That's the only one that I thought
Yeah.
shouldn't be. Okay, and we're fine with 1 acre.
It's gonna be pretty tough to put a 1 acre kennel, but
Mm-hmm.
Because you have is there sitbacks on
yeah.
fencing and stuff? Okay.
Liquor manufacturing, where do we want to allow that? That's a new use.
Yeah, I think of like what's the one over in
Waterboro?
Dayton or Waterboro or
Waterboro,
Funky
yeah.
Bow or something like that.
Oh, over not, yeah, Dayton.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
That fits into a residential use.
Yeah.
You know, kind of scenario,
Mhm.
something like that.
What?
Liquor manufacturer, so a brewery.
Brewery?
Yeah. Should we allow breweries in RR2 and RR3? I guess that's really the question, right?
Or would you want breweries on main throughways, like a restaurant? Because they'll more than likely serve food.
That one in Dayton's really nice.
Yeah.
Like, that's perfect.
The one in Dayton that's in the field now, that brand new one.
On a
Is that
plane.
different? Funky Bow?
No,
Or is there another one?
There's another one now.
On a plane.
Yep.
What's it called?
On the plane.
On a plane brewing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Where is it?
Is that used?
It's like right on
Near
Hill
111.
Road. Like if you're coming from Biddeford going out towards like this area.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So I think of something like that. You know, it would fit into a
I
residential
just drive by
zone.
it a lot.
To the next meeting.
You think a brewery
I
would
agree.
work in? I hate using Deer Wonder as an example, but it's a great example.
Yeah, like, I think of like a you know, I hate to use Funky Bowl, but like a disc
No,
golf
it's great.
brewery kind of place.
Cool.
Do I see Shipyard going on Deer Wander? No.
So, but we don't allow food service establishments there.
Right.
I was just talking to Fred Forsley about adding a shipyard out here. What are you talking about?
So it
So
would
that's
make
tough call.
sense to add them where food service establishments are.
Yeah. Okay.
So keep it just to where food service is?
Or
I-
they can just get food trucks.
I can't
Or they could get food truck.
Because those are allowed everywhere. By permit.
because they're not permanent, right?
See,
I just
I kind of like them, but I
as much as I like breweries right in my backyard, so I can just walk home. I don't know that allowing a brewery there and not allowing a 1,000 square foot restaurant is the appropriate move. I think it needs to be consistent. I think the uses are very similar, both on small scale and big scale, large scale, big scale. Big scale.
So what if you didn't have a restaurant? What if you were just literally just a brewer? You wouldn't want it in.
But if you have a tasting room, don't you have to serve some kind of food?
No.
No.
No, I don't
There's we get beer grain from a brewery in Portland. They don't have any food. They just have beer.
Do they allow the restaurant next door to bring pizza over if you
No,
order it?
you can't have any food over there.
Really?
Yeah, but I will say that the beer grain does smell. So, if you were to have it on a residential area, that may cause a problem.
But
we do have an odor ordinance.
farmers would love having spent grain that
I mean,
close,
I would love
which
it
would
to be
support.
more local to me to come grab grain, but I will say the residents may not love that.
Yeah. So what do we think?
I don't know, I'm still on the if it's the same thing as serving food.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously not
Or
the same.
or manufacturing something because it's
Right.
manufacturing. I mean, so if I wanted to manufacture bourbon, not invite anybody in,
Yep.
right? That should be in the same type of place.
As,
I don't think it should be in RR2 or RR3.
Yep. As manufacturing shoes.
Yep.
Same place you're allowed to manufacture any other, except for pot. But yeah, no, I agree.
What do we think? Should we? This is not in, so
I could go either way.
and then we're going to take it out. That's it. If you're not going to make a hard decision.
No.
Because you're only taking it out of, two and three.
2 and 3. Is
That's-
everyone comfortable with taking it out of 2 and 3?
Yep.
I mean, we can always revisit it.
Oh, fuck, I crossed the wrong one off.
I crossed the wrong one off too. Mineral extraction. I don't know why.
Allowed everywhere.
No, it was already allowed in 2 and 3. I think that.
You don't put it in the same place that allows water extraction?
I don't know anything about it. I was just.
Oh,
Following,
no, that's the protected zone. Never mind.
I was just following whatever was in there before.
What are you talking about now?
Mineral, extraction.
Okay.
I pushed allowed everywhere.
You actually want it everywhere?
Of course I do.
Figures.
Is it not in, what is it in right now currently?
2 and 3.
It's just in RR2, RR3. And there's tons of state standards that go with that.
100% there is.
Like a horrifying amount of state standards. And
Yeah.
DEP and DOT and literally everything.
Yep.
And it has to be commercial, and they have to come in front of the planning board.
Yeah, I think 2 and 3 is
Reasonable.
Yep.
Why is it, I don't know I don't know, so like what mineral are, salt? Like
No.
what's the mineral that's being extracted? I'm
Gravel.
just trying to understand it.
it's just
Got
gravel.
it, okay.
Sand, gravel.
Okay, so then you
You
wouldn't
could
want that
mow,
in a
whatever.
growth area because it will deplete, okay, got it.
Yeah, you can't dig a pit
Like a quarry.
Yeah, okay,
in the center.
so just keep it where it is.
Yeah.
So I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't thinking about it as gravel.
you've got-
We're getting close. What's that, Butch?
You've got, northeast sand and gravel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that zone is up there right off the bat. But again, that would be an existing use, so.
I think they're in that zone.
RR3.
Yeah.
Okay,
If I'm looking at it correctly, it's RR3.
okay.
I mean, you're not going to have, if you don't have 5 acres minimum, you're not going to have much anyway, so.
Oh, true.
We're adding mixed commercial use, so that's if you wanted to build a building and have 2 different, warehouse companies.
I think they'll spec to get rid of R2 and R3. Have it
Get
in-
rid of RR2 and RR3, okay.
Or just have it in EOZ only, actually.
No, mixed commercial, is that not, that's where you built a three
bay.
bay, three storefront. If you tore down your country store and put a three store right there, which would be fantastic,
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
that'd be mixed commercial use. And
Plus
then you have
EOZ.
apartments over it,
Well,
that'd be
that's-
mixed,
That's EOZ.
plus it's EOZ anyway, right? But if it, alright, I see what you're saying.
I think
So,
it should just be
I think-
EOZ only.
What,
But, that's
where would you put it that's not EOZ?
on Deer Wanderer.
No, if you're just doing HCV and NHV,
Well, then, if HCV and NHV, WBV,
I don't
then
think,
why do we have them if everything's just on, if things are only going in the EOZ?
I don't know that everything's going to the EOZ, I think it's where we want businesses located along main throughways and not off on side streets.
Right, but if you mix commercial use, that could be a business that doesn't have customers.
It could be, but it could also be
So
a
then
business.
why would you wanna take up the valuable real estate that's on a main thoroughfare?
But it could
for that
also be a
Well,
business that does
so
have customers.
The,
So,
the use within the mixed use needs to be in the zone.
Okay,
So we could allow it more places, and then the zone, the use that's in the.
so then does that mean that the use that's in the, if you're, I don't think so, because at EOZ, we're saying it doesn't have to be in the zone.
Right, but the business within the mixed use development needs a use permit. So then the use within the mixed use building needs to fall in the zone.
But isn't the same true for any business that's in the EOZ? They have to get a use permit
But
too?
I'm saying if we allow this mixed
Oh,
use
yeah, I see
in
what
an
you're
R3 zone, and you put a mixed use with 3 things, and you go to
The
try to put
uses-
something,
I see
it
what
needs
you're
to be allowed in R3 as a use in that building. So if we don't allow it in R3 and the building's in R3, you can't put it in there. See what I'm saying?
let's get an example. Let's do, one of them's a function hall and the other is a healthcare facility. Those are both allowed in RR3 in your mixed use.
But then you could not have.
You could not have
A restaurant and,
Correct.
a
You couldn't have a
junkyard.
Subway and a function hall in an R3 mixed use.
I was gonna say, what about a function
But you could have it
hall
if it
and
was
a-
on EOZ.
or a
Correct.
function
well,
hall
what
and
about if it's an
agriculture?
industrial? What's that?
What about agriculture and function hall? So you have a
Agriculture
horse
is
farm and then
allowed.
yeah, an apple orchard, and then you also have
It's like a,
a function hall
That would be a mixed use.
yeah.
if they were independently ran.
Okay, you have to look at the definition of mixed use. They don't. It wouldn't be like.
How about a, oh no, that's permitted.
Mixed use is
Two or
two or
more-
more independent commercial uses within a single premises and/or building designed to promote efficient land use and economic activity.
Self-storage facility
Got it.
and veterinary office.
Are they allowed in RR3s?
Veterinary office is permitted in RR2. Is it in RR3? I crossed that out by mistake.
What is it you talking?
Yes, it is an RR3.
Okay, the veterinary office, and what was
Okay.
the other one I said? Self-storage facility.
No.
Oh, we don't have that permitted anywhere. It's not permitted.
Except for
EOZ.
conditional use.
Yeah,
of
except
EOZ.
except EOZ. So then, no, you couldn't have that.
So we can allow it in more areas, but the use still has to fall in the.
But, so if I just have a self-storage facility, the use doesn't have to match in any of the zones, correct? If I'm just in an EOZ, I'm not doing mixed use. I am in EOZ, Hollis Center Village. Am I allowed to have a self-storage facility?
If you're on,
If you're on-
yes,
Yeah,
But it's not conditional in,
but it's the EOZ. EOZ trumps.
but you're saying mixed use. If you're in a mixed use, you have to have, it has to be, have the underlying
correct.
zone. So why is mixed use? Why do I have to have,
Mixed use.
You have
on
to get a
use
use
table
permit.
at all.
You have to get a use permit for the building,
yep,
and
it's
then
not a use permit for the building, it's a use permit for the
Ooh,
use.
you're onto something. Hold on, Tom. He said, why do we have to have a mixed use at all? If we're fixing the use thing, then putting two uses in one building.
I think mixed use has different owners.
Mhm.
Yeah, it has to have different owners.
So, let me just find an example.
Or two
Um,
independent run.
Two independent commercial uses within the same premises or building.
It doesn't say anything about two different owners. So if I had a stable and I also wanted to do a
Wouldn't have-
function hall,
I
I
don't
think we want to put it in EOZ and restrict it that way.
So, say I want to put something, I'm in an EOZ, I wanna put, not finding like a good, an easy
Yeah, it's
one.
tricky. That's what I'm trying to
I
find.
wanna
like
put
perfect for it.
a fuel okay, I wanna put a fuel station in Hollis Center Village.
Yep.
It's a conditional use, if I'm in an EOZ, it's not, it's not allowed in HCV, so you couldn't put one in.
A fuel station?
Yeah, because what you're saying is that on mixed use, the underlying uses have to be in the zone, right? Have to be allowed in the zone.
EOZ trumps. the
Sounds
zone.
reasonable.
Right, but what you're saying, what you just said is that if we had two uses, both of those uses would have to be allowed in the underlying zone. But if I've got one use, it doesn't have to be,
which is why I don't understand what the need for the mixed commercial use at all is.
or I don't know that I think that you can't have it both ways. EOZ, if EOZ and the use doesn't have to be allowed in the underlying zone, then you can't require it in a mixed commercial use.
I think it should probably mirror the retail use, because usually mixed commercial is some sort of retail.
Yeah, but our definition of mixed commercial use is very open-ended. It says two or more independent commercial uses within a single premises. Is really the only guideline. Is only
But
really
so-
the only restriction.
With the, so I think you're on to something. If you look at section 7, the first paragraph,
7 what?
Of the zoning ordinance.
7.0, like it's,
Oh, it's the beginning of 7. Sorry.
yeah.
Oh, wait, that's old.
7.3, 7.2, 6.
Purpose, the purpose of the conditional
Wasn't
use
there
site
a
plan review.
The thing that I had in here got removed.
Which one?
The whole reason I got started on this ordinance change is gone.
Pull up the current. So you're saying section 7?
All conditional use must. Basically, we made it say that you could have multiple uses on one property.
Yep.
That's what I mean, though. Like,
So,
does that not wrap it all up into one? Where
I'm trying to find where that was now. 'Cause it's,
I feel like I remember
I thought it was at the beginning. It was in the one that you sent. Or did it even make it over?
I thought it was 7.1, but
7.1 is different.
Where it says that you the
the person who's
multiple uses within the same, what's it called, right? I thought that was the commercial use thing.
7.1.
It's not, yeah, 7.1. Yep.
Is that not even here at all?
it is 51.
The old or the new?
The
Or the proposed?
proposed.
Page number for some reason.
Where did it go? Why is this backwards?
Is it the additional permitted or conditional uses when contained within the same building as the principal use are not required?
Yeah, what number is that?
That's land use requirements. It's number, I don't know, it's the intro section to that.
It's at the beginning, right?
At the beginning of land use requirements, which I had as 4 on my notes, but maybe it's 5 now.
That's where,
Is that why I can't find them at the wrong number?
yeah, you're looking at the wrong thing. What's the, do you not have, does it not have a number? Or under a section?
No, it's in the intro, she said,
It's in, I know.
The intro of, like, the land use requirements section.
which is fine.
Oh, here we go.
There. There we go.
The principal use of a lot shall meet the space and bulk requirements of the zone which the located additional permitted or conditional use when contained in the same building as the principal use are not required to meet separate space and bulk requirements for additional uses. Does that
That,
cover?
I don't know that fixes it though.
It's more like setbacks and stuff.
The intent of that statement was, if you have a 10-acre parcel, or
Nope,
so you have
2
a,
acre
you have,
parcel.
you have, you know, an R2, you had a 2-acre parcel, you could have a restaurant and, you know, function hall and restaurant, two uses on the table, without needing double the space and bulk.
We've turned away businesses before,
Right, but
the
can you
town has,
have
because they lack
two businesses
the space
that
and
are
bulk
not
in a clearly, I
conditional
don't
or
want to say
permitted in
incidental,
the
but
zone if you're in
Enough
economic
space.
overlap?
yeah,
So I,
clearly similar use.
everything should be allowed in EOZ.
So,
So I think we just allow mixed use in EOZ, and then we're covered no matter what.
Okay.
Are we
That's
good
not-
with that?
that's not a bad idea.
What are you doing?
Everything should be allowed in, every commercial property should be allowed in EOZ. But if you allow mixed use just in EOZ, we're covered no matter what.
Okay.
Okay, I can go with that. Planned unit development, I'm not sure why it shows up as permitted in our current ordinances. Planned unit development is almost like a mixed use that includes residential.
That's not the
In it-
definition.
It is a definition and it does have performance standards.
It should be conditional, though.
That's what I thought too, yeah,
In every zone, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's like a developed area under common control.
It's right here, 8.1. So we allow it everywhere,
What's the definition?
it's in the definitions.
We already have the definition.
Yep.
Oh,
So it's supposed to be residential, commercial, and industrial uses. Basically like it's making a neighborhood. I don't know a better way to describe it.
Like an office park.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we allow that. So
Leave
first of
that
all, it's
being
permitted
considered
everywhere,
procedure.
so you wouldn't even need to come in front of planning board, which I think is silly.
Yep.
And why would we be allowing that in all the zones? In all of the zones, except resource protection.
But it's listed as permitted, but it would only be permitted if each particular use was permitted. Okay?
No, we're saying that that's not the case.
Well, it is, and well, it should be the case. The code enforcement officer can't say, yeah, you can have this here, because you're gonna call it a mixed commercial use, okay? When it's not allowed to be here in the first place. It's a conditional thing in the first place, so
So
you
we
gotta
have,
go to the planning board for it.
yeah, definitely. So our residential, where we don't allow them in Hollis Center Village, but we're gonna allow planned unit development in Hollis Center Village?
I say yes, but it should be conditional.
Definitely it should be conditional, but.
I think they should be conditional, yes, all of them.
Yes, for sure. But I guess where do we want planned unit development? Because it's residential and commercial, and we don't have a lot of zones that you can have both of those things in the underlying zone. We have very few zones that you can have both residential and commercial. So currently, we do not
EOZ is
have,
really the only one, right?
what's that?
EOZ would really be the only one.
Yep.
What's the
But
most?
they,
If you had 40 acres and you were setting your little neighborhood out back of it, and you were throwing a corner
make it
store in the
commercial
front of
and
it, or
EOZ, and it's
a
probably
laundromat,
gonna
or a development that has an office
That's just
with
a
a
mistake.
coin op
That's all.
laundry, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. That would all
Change it
be
backwards,
that
yeah.
that definition.
Yep.
but in the underlying zone, HCV 1 or North Hollis Village 1, you're not allowed to build a multifamily, a single family, or a two-family. So how could we allow planned unit development if we don't allow residential builds in that area?
All right, that makes sense. Get rid of it in those three, two.
So then we've
In the
got to
1
make some
acre?
changes up there.
Or
And then
add
change
more
it to
singles
C.
and doubles.
Change these to C and get rid of them
Talking
in
about the
1.
1 acre zone?
Yep.
We're taking it,
In each of the village zones?
yep,
Yep.
leaving it in everywhere else, and then.
Change it to C's.
And changing it to C's, and so we're gonna have to change this out.
Now, you're gonna leave it permitted or
All C's,
Gonna be
all
C.
fees?
all conditional.
C's. Conditional.
Conditional,
Yeah.
okay.
All right,
Is the reason professional offices are permitted, not conditional?
I think that they were before, why, cause do we really,
I think we recently talked about that professional office. Like, I have a business that I run out of my home, and
Yeah.
I've got an office in my basement. Is that
That's a home
professional
office.
office?
No, it's a home occ.
Yeah, if it's
Professional office, commercial,
It's like a dentist, right?
Healthcare,
Commercial.
financial, real estate, barber,
So you can put that somewhere, but you can't
Not
put
a
a house
bank.
there?
exclude.
Okay. Counselor.
Financial, real estate,
Yeah.
personal.
I don't
yeah, I
know.
think that should be
Like
permitted.
single family.
Yeah.
Makes
I
sense.
feel like should be allowed.
That
on a
makes
wedding,
sense.
If all these other things.
if it's
are
permitted in every
conditional.
zone, it doesn't need to be in the EOZ, or in the EOZ.
Yeah.
I'd like to just have
You
that
go-
vote.
It's conditional in the EOZ, but it's allowed everywhere else.
Sure, well, that doesn't make sense.
No, it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense at all.
It should be
Make it
conditional.
permitted.
So make it permitted in the EOZ, yeah.
Permitted
Doesn't need
EOZ,
to be
conditional
What
everywhere
was that,
else.
Joe?
I would recommend conditional, because you usually need like parking lots, and
That's a good point.
that's a planning board thing usually.
Like a site plan.
That's a good
So
point.
change it to conditional,
Change everything to conditional.
sure. I mean, we're gonna,
I mean, it should be pretty quick, because it should be pretty minimal impact.
yeah,
I mean,
But if it's-
potentially, but
When does it cross over into Unum? Like a Unum-sized building,
that's why we're putting them all commercial, or conditional.
and they're in RR3, we're taking it out of RR3.
I think we
Well,
have to
because you
keep
don't
on.
wanna have the little one out, too, the fireworks.
Cause you still have to
The
have the
lit-
3 acres.
The little one can fall under home occupation.
Not if, no,
Not if it's not in your home.
If they're not little, then they can rent a space to run their business.
Yeah,
If you're allowing the not little one in RR3, you're allowing Unum in RR3.
but you have to still meet space and bulk.
Doesn't matter if they buy 100 acres because they can afford it. They can set up Unum in RR3 off of Deerwater Road. Not that again, they never will, because it's the most.
Another great income for Hollis.
And if they did, would it be a bad thing?
I agree, but I don't know that residents will be happy.
So you don't want a barber shop in RR2? Your grandmother wants to run a barber shop, you don't want to let her?
With an employee, because otherwise it would just be a home occupation.
Because let's be realistic, that's more likely
Right.
to be what someone wants to do.
I know.
That- I get
I
what
just
you're saying.
hate because when's the next time this is going to get changed?
Yep,
November?
yep, Fair.
All right.
fair statement.
I think we should be going for, yeah.
All right. When Unum sets it up, I'm giving everybody your address, and they're gonna come mad and yell at you.
And when we have a TIF fund because Unum's paying for our next public, our next
I understand.
next town hall.
As long as they allow us to hunt on the rest of the space
Yeah.
and ball
So-
here, then we're good to go. Think
Public
everybody would be just
facility, that was already permitted and not conditional.
fine. What are we on?
Public facility.
Public facility, same thing with public safety facility.
So when we have
Could
issues
these
like
be
the,
combined.
when we have issues like the town hall gets built and the planning board never sees it,
Mm-hmm.
Is that the
I mean, we saw
situation?
it, but we didn't have to approve it.
Is that the situation we want to be in the future?
I don't know.
I think everybody gets to follow the same rules, regardless of who they
Yeah.
are.
Okay. So then we are gonna change public facility and public safety facility to conditional.
Conditional. 100%.
And then that gives a chance for the public to weigh in, public hearings.
Yeah. Is
Transparency
the
and
new town hall,
accountability.
is that, first of all, voters did have to vote on that, didn't we?
They had to vote to approve it,
But
not to.
They never got to discuss
never got
the
Location.
performance standards or
Yep.
any of those items.
Impacts.
Okay. Retail store, I think that's just a new definition.
Yep.
I assume we just want it everywhere, not in the rural residentials,
Correct.
okay?
Permitted or seized? Sorry, I didn't.
Si-
C's,
Oh, yeah. all right.
Self-storage facility, I think that was a new
EOZ only.
EOZ only. Yeah, we're good with that,
Yep.
taking it out of North Hollis Resource. So I didn't understand, I don't know this. So we don't have a definition for utilities, including sewage collection and treatment facility. I feel like we need to have a definition for what we mean by that.
I thought that
Do we
was.
mean only a sewage treatment facility, or is there something other than that we mean?
I thought that was for future. I swear I read it. I thought it was a comp plan, honestly, for the future Hollis public water and sewer.
Okay,
Stuff
so
like that.
is there a definition in the comp plan that we can?
I'd have to double check. Like I said, I remember it being brought up in the comp plan
I think
meeting.
we do need one.
You could probably just throw the word water treatment facility in there, and you'd be covered, right? Yeah.
It wouldn't hurt to define it, yeah.
And then what is the definition?
I'm sure the state has a definition on that.
Yeah, but it's probably broader, like as a utility, that's also CMP.
I'm sorry, include it.
Just the definition below uses the exact same first words.
What
So it's
definition below what?
So I'm sorry,
Utility or
the use
communication
below.
It has like substations.
It says
yeah.
utilities including, and then the next one is utilities or.
It's utility or communication poles, towers, lines,
Ah,
substations.
it's one thing.
Different, yeah.
Well done.
And we actually have one.
So that's the power part, and the other
Yep.
one's the poop part. I get it.
So yeah, I just didn't know what utilities we were talking about.
I think that was it, though. That was sewer.
Someday it could be
Sewer
gas.
is one of them.
Sewer,
What about
water.
water?
Water
Water.
would be one.
What about electricity?
Yeah, that would, it's
Or
all-
natural
Well, that would be a
gas.
Here's my other question: if it's what I'm thinking it is, and it's only allowed in EOZ,
I don't think you want those in the EOZ.
that's what I mean. Like how?
You're gonna want the sewer treatment plant near the river.
Right.
And that you want that the lowest, the practical place for a sewer treatment isn't in the EOZ.
I feel like that's a gigantic conversation, and we just leave it the way it is, and no one's putting in a sewer treatment plant in Hollis anytime soon, and somebody else can do it. That's not a small
Wanted to
conversation.
find-
Well, maybe, yeah.
Greg's
I mean,
sewer
because
treatment plant.
because right now, so when we're talking about things like, oh, is it a similar use? I don't know what we mean by utilities. Do we mean CMP? Do we mean a little water treatment plant?
Natural gas, Unitil?
Are you talking
Yeah.
about CMP like substation stuff?
Well, yeah.
That-
I mean,
that-
I don't know, because there's no definition, so I have no idea.
Oh, we don't have a one for utility or
We
communication
do
pole
not-
tower.
We
Anything.
do have, there's an ordinance for utility or communication poles, towers, lines, substations.
But there's no definition.
They're two different things, Tom. Utilities, including sewage collection and treatment facility,
No,
We
but
can
you
delete
keep
that.
saying
Delete that for
CMP.
now.
delete it out completely.
No, just leave it alone.
I don't. The problem with it
You
is,
don't have any performance standards for it, I don't think either.
it's not in the right zone. I think that requires a much more in-depth study of where that goes
Mhm.
prior to putting that in the use table.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a,
5 minute,
yeah.
okay.
Where, I mean, that's
I agree.
where we can put a, yeah, that's a whole can of worms
Okay, so we're gonna just take it out, can't do that here.
for now.
Okay.
And if Unitil wanted to set up shop with like a call center, then it would fall under professional office, right?
Yep,
They're not setting up a utility.
well, we don't know, because we don't have a definition.
Well, and if CMP wanted to put in a substation,
They can do
Tell them
that.
put it bust
they
it.
can do that anyway.
So is wireless telecommunication facility part of
Oh, done.
utility or communication poles, towers, lines, substations?
No.
We have an ordinance that does include it, but there's no definition.
So we need a definition.
Uh-huh.
All right, we have 4 more to go.
Yep. So,
When, Heather, you're
Yes.
talking about wireless facilities.
yep.
That's not listed here anywhere, is it?
That's why I'm saying, does it need to be, so we need a definition of utility or communication poles, towers, lines, substations, et cetera.
It's in the performance standards.
It's
but
in the performance standards and there's a separate ordinance for it.
Oh, we have a whole nother ordinance for it?
Mm-hmm.
Jeepers creepers, I didn't realize that. And it's not a definition in there either.
Mm-mm. Or it didn't, so why, I think wireless telecommunication facilities, I
That's
can't
what-
remember, because I didn't
What
see
if that
it.
just be towers?
That sounds like retail to me.
We just don't have a definition, that's the
So
issue.
wouldn't that be towers? Wireless communications facility?
I don't know, a facility to me is a building.
No,
Why-
not
why-
Doesn't, I know it doesn't have to be, but is there something other than a tower that a wireless telecommunication facility might be?
Substation.
I don't know.
You don't need a substation for a wireless
Are you
utility.
talking like a spectrum, like the office building, or is that?
No, I wasn't thinking an office building. I was thinking, is there a place where all of the computers that run, I don't know, whatever, I don't know enough about it. Like,
Server farm?
yeah, so, yeah, maybe it's a server farm. Let me go pull the definition.
That might be professional office still.
Might be. Let me
Actually,
grab that.
They call that the cloud.
Because I was surprised to see it.
All right,
I
well,
mean, I think
let's
I think a
table
cell
that item
tower
for now.
could be under that line.
2 more.
Communication tower.
Or is.
That's what a cell tower is.
that was
But
my
it's pretty
thought.
broad.
Yeah.
I'd say.
So we'll look into that one. What was your thoughts on veterinary next thing you have wholesale use.
Yeah, I just didn't know if we wanted to add it to North Hollis Village 1 acre or anything else.
What are we on?
I don't think so.
Wholesale use, so like a warehouse.
A vet office should probably be C's, no?
It should be seized.
It should be C, yeah.
That should be C's.
No,
The
just
the vet should be C's, yeah.
Okay. Why, okay. Why does a vet need to have 2 acres or 4 acres? And why are we allowing it in RR2?
Are we not getting rid of that and putting it in 1? Moving the 2 to 1?
Huh?
We decided not to do that
We're
this
not doing
time.
that.
We permit things in the zones, and then we make it conditional in the overlay zone.
Mm-hmm.
We're changing those to C's.
All
The
right.
P-
And we are fine with them only being allowed in the larger zones. I mean, a vet office doesn't need a lot of space.
Vet office doesn't need 4 acres in North Hollis Village.
Mhm, yeah.
I
It
agree
should probably
with
match the
that.
professional office.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
So, is everybody comfortable putting conditional vet office in North Hollis Village in a 1 acre?
Yeah.
That seems appropriate.
I think it
What
should
was
be
that, putting the veterinary clinic
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
in the 1 acre?
Yep.
It's commercial use.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's pretty similar to professional office.
And that is
What?
allowed.
unless it has a kennel.
Make it
But kennel,
conditional.
that'd be an additional use.
Yeah.
You make it conditional in
Does
those
it
zones?
have to have
I don't think
a kennel?
that-
No,
Conditional.
because kennels have like runs and poop.
Cages
Yeah.
outside.
But like, you have to keep dogs overnight.
Inside
They
usually.
keep them
Inside.
Okay, inside.
Hopefully.
I hope so. My dog loves that place.
All right, and then
Can we
last,
allow, yeah, did we say, can we allow wholesale in,
Definition.
1
I
acre,
think there is one.
North Hollis Village? And then do we want to allow it
Can we
in
say
2
things
acre?
for
Probably not.
performance?
yeah, probably not two, yep.
Mhm. I think it wasn't, so it wasn't allowed in North Hollis Village 1 acre, but it is allowed in Hollis Center Village 1
Is,
acre.
is wholesale use and wholesale facility intended to be the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure I was.
And then we need a definition for wood processing.
Mm-hmm. And like, are we okay with where that's allowed?
I don't see why we would want that. I guess it depends on what the definition is.
Great, great. You're right.
Putting the cart before the
Yeah,
horse.
you're right.
All right, And then I think we should table any other further discussion until next meeting.
So these are not.
Yeah, it's not, this isn't getting on June's warrant.
Okay.
I think we're,
I say that's all the November stuff anyway.
Veterinary
No,
officer
this
Ian
was supposed to be
Kennels.
the last time doing that, so
Yeah.
none of it's going on, right?
yeah, I don't think, definitions that we deleted will get on the June warrant.
Okay, so you want me to give them just definitions that we deleted it, but what about the ones we added? We can't just delete.
Well, we had public hearings on the deletions of the orphaned ones.
And a few
Oh, they
additions.
combine them in the.
Did we, I don't think we had additions, did we?
Yep, we did. We did.
I thought we have one more meeting before we have to set everything up.
I'm kinda with you on that.
We did.
We haven't even gone over performance standards yet.
Vet-
We haven't even touched them yet.
Vet and grooming too, yeah.
And then we still have time for 2 public hearings before
For different
30 and 60 out anyway, following the rules.
Boarding overnight.
Right,
We have time for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have to have, I think,
the March 16th.
right.
so we have one more meeting.
We can continue on and see where we get. All right.
So I will draft the changes that we talked about today, get them circulated. We will have the opportunity to focus more on performance standards next time.
Yeah.
But I also think there's a few, those aren't the only pieces, like there are, site plan review, changes in that section.
I think that's another wholesale change.
Okay, so we're just gonna focus on performance standards.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think site plan review is another wholesale change.
Okay, all right.
Cause then that goes site plan and subdivision, those tie together.
So do you want, so we need to have a version of the changes that is pre what you guys did,
Can't throw
right?
something at
The original just definitions and just performance standards.
Affordable housing.
Yep, yeah, that's, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So what I'm going to send out to everyone, it's gonna be 2 different versions, I'll do them on 2 different emails.
Yep.
One is the version that is going to, we are gonna approve and recommend, we have to do our recommendations next week too. We are gonna approve and then vote on whether or not we recommend on the warrant.
Well, we haven't seen the warrant articles, how it's written yet.
Right, but the deadline's so close, we have to.
Yeah, okay, fair
We
enough.
have to at least.
Yep.
And then there will be another version, which is this ongoing,
That's yours.
Yep.
okay. All right,
All right, Heidi, do we have any applicants for next meeting?
Yeah, Bracken.
So next meeting, so plan for next meeting, we have new business.
when did that come in?
Uh,
Is it,
like,
has it been reviewed for completion?
It has been reviewed.
Yes, so we have a Bracken subdivision for.
And they've already paid their escrow.
What are we doing for, what are we doing?
It will be subdivision,
No,
site plan
Bracken's
review.
Site plan.
conditional use,
Bracken is the,
the solar.
so, okay, conditional use permit, sorry. Not the, that's
No,
Bradbury,
yeah,
okay,
that's,
perfect.
Adirondack.
Heather, when you do these things, can you
Yes, sir.
put numbers on the pages?
I thought I did this time.
I have
Yeah,
numbers.
Heather.
No.
I don't think they made it onto everyone, cause I've
I
got
got
some
started
numbers.
on page 51.
Oh, man,
Maybe that's where I saw the page number, because I was on page 51.
that's really funny. Yes,
so-
absolutely, I tried.
So planning for next meeting, new business, conditional use permit, Bracken subdivision, old business. We'll recommend, or I guess you wanna review
I think we should,
suggested warrant articles?
I don't think we need to review the content. We need to say, yes, this is what we need to
so-
vote on whether or not we want to recommend the voters pass it or not.
So-
That's all we need to do.
Old business warrant articles.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as number 1, then number 2, use table definitions and performance standards review. Anything else I'm not thinking of?
I will send the warrant article drafts. Yes, I don't think we need to print them unless.
No, I don't believe so. We've already gone
we've
through them.
through them.
reviewed
So it really
them.
is just saying, oh yeah,
Yep.
we haven't done our recommendations yet.
Okay. With that, looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
For a
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
Yes.
Right.
All those opposed, Hearing none,
So moved.